Joseph Stalin is known to practically everybody as one of the great evildoers of the 20th century. But mainly we think of him as being all on his own as a dictator. Now, he certainly was a dictator, but he wasn't all on his own because he had the support of a team of about a dozen men that was very important to him. That team constituted not only Stalin's closest colleagues, but they were also his friends. It was his social circle. Within the Bolshevik Party, Stalin's party and earlier Lenin's, there are really two groups. On the one hand, the intellectuals, Lenin is one of those, Leon Trotsky is one of those, and on the other hand, the lower class ones who've stayed in Russia, usually in prison and exile. Stalin and his team belong to that group. That leaves them with something of an inferiority complex, but also with a lifelong zeal for self-education. Where Joseph Stalin steps forward as a bold and radical revolutionary leader is in the late 1920s with the collectivization of Soviet agriculture. That is done with the help of the team, under Stalin's leadership, and in Stalin's characteristic way, which is basically crash through or crash, don't worry about how much violence you have to use. For the team, the Great Purge is a terrible experience, but they're in the unique position of being both co-perpetrators and potential victims. Incredibly, the team didn't fall apart as a result of the Great Purges, but in the Second World War, which is the high point of Soviet achievement basically, they functioned very well and they essentially ran the home front while Stalin and the generals ran the military side. Stalin, after the war, has become leader of a superpower, but he's back at his old tricks of being very suspicious of the people around him, and that includes the team. And it also includes various categories of the population, particularly Jews. Stalin is the instigator of an important but covert anti-Semitic campaign with which the team is not in full agreement. In March 1953, Stalin suffers a massive stroke and after a few days dies. The team steps up to the plate very effectively, taking over with a new government even before Stalin is actually dead. And the remarkable thing about that new government is that it turns out to be a reforming one. The team has been seen as a very, very much sort of just yes men in the last years of Stalin. But if the moment Stalin dies, they're ready to launch a reform program, it's very hard to believe that in some way there hadn't been some kind of even tacit communication between them that all these things would be desirable. They're not possible with Stalin, but without Stalin they are. From 1953 to 1957, the team, Stalin's team without Stalin, is leading the country as a reforming collective leadership. And that reforming part includes the de-Stalinization campaign, often attributed to Khrushchev. Then in 1957, there's a confrontation between the rest of the team and Khrushchev. Khrushchev wins, and that is the end of the team.